You're listening to So You Want to Start a Business podcast, and I am your host, Ingrid Thompson. And today we have another exceptional businesswoman on the show. Michelle Okwudiafor joins me from the UK, and hers is a new business started in October 2020. Hello, and thank you for being here and for spending your precious time with me and my guests. Business, and especially the financial side of business, has become overcomplicated, and I aim to simplify it, and Michelle is certainly on the same path to help us understand about business. My business, healthynumbers.com.au, and I'm on a mission to help every business owner understand how money works in their business, because I believe everyone deserves to be financially savvy when it comes to understanding how money works. In this podcast, we meet business owners and we delve into their wisdom and their lessons learned to offer easy business life hacks and debunk some of the common business myths. I'm keen to give you tangible, tactical tools and tricks to revolutionize how you build and grow your business. My mission is to help small business owners find lasting financial safety. That's why I wrote the book, So You Want to Start a Business. This book helps you understand the business fundamentals and find your level of financial safety. This book is pretty much the only advertising on the podcast, and the guest gets to talk about themselves and their business as well. Head to wherever you buy your books online or your local independent bookstore and buy your copy. Now, let's listen to Michelle. Hello, and here we are today with Michelle Okwudiafor. And with my Australian pronunciation, I hope I did it okay, Michelle. I really, you'll say it better because you just do. But Michelle, we are so grateful to have you here at your late hour where you are in the world. So Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Ingrid. It's great to be here.
It's wonderful. Now, where in the world are you?
So I'm in London, UK, and it's 10 p.m. But I'm happy to do this because it's something I'm really passionate about, and I think it's amazing to actually be on this podcast. So thank you, Ingrid.
Oh, look, we're just so looking forward to speaking with you. So let's just jump straight into it. And 10 p.m., I am sound asleep at 10 p.m. So I think you are amazing to be able to do this at 10 p.m. In London. And I love London. What is that expression they say when you're bored of London, you're bored of life? So it's a fabulous, fabulous city. Okay, Michelle, what is your business? How do you describe the business you're in?
Okay, so my business is, the name of my business is Career Invest. And I always say that Career Invest is a career empowerment and a training company. And so we work with universities, we work with companies, and generally people who want to get their career on track, move careers, and also just get a purpose of clarity on how they should forge ahead in their career. So that is what Career Invest does in a nutshell.
And, this is why I was so keen to speak with you, Michelle, for this podcast, because we're talking about getting started in a business. And, maybe that's not for everyone, that, whatever that career is that somebody has is there's endless possibilities, really, isn't there? So that we're going to talk a little bit about that with you, but we're going to hear about your business story. So when did you get started with Career Invest?
So I'd say I formally incorporated Career Invest in October 2020, which doesn't seem like, it's almost a year now. But before now, I had been involved in a lot of these activities ad hoc, for family and friends. And so I just made that decision to give it a go and incorporate it as a company in October 2020.
Well, congratulations. I think 2020 called a lot of people to do things. It sure did, didn't it? So why did you take that jump and incorporate? Why did you want to get started in business?
So I think for me, generally, it was, a challenge to myself because it was something I'd always done. And I said, look, what's your vision for this thing? Do you want it to remain as a hobby or, just an ad hoc thing? Or actually, do you want to hold yourself to account, challenge yourself, and then, expose your services to a wide range of people? Because everyone deserves to, participate in my training or my workshop. And so I said, you know what, I'm opening it up my business. And so the best way to start is to formalize things so that I know that, this is serious, this is a separate entity, and this is, a baby that I literally need to grow. So yeah, that was it for me.
I love that answer. I don't think anyone's ever quite described it like that. It's like, what is your vision for this thing? Is this a hobby or are you going to make it real? That's so good. Thank you. Um, so what did you want from the business? So, you're talking there, those words talk about taking it out to the audience and your serving of the clients that you'll be working with. But what about you, Michelle? What did you want from your business?
So I think there's many things, but I'd start with, the impact. And then
Mm.
secondly, being able to reach, like I said, to reach wider than family and friends. Because if you would permit, I could go like, a little bit more in depth. So I'd found that, I'd
Yeah.
been involved in quite a range of like mentoring programs. And, a lot of my mentees were actually like ladies from ethnic minority backgrounds here in the UK. And then some of the problems were similar. Some of the problems, were things around soft skills and the like. And I said to myself, if this is actually a problem, a recurring problem from, a diverse, pool of people, then why not look to work with institutions to address this, look to work with individuals? And so for me, it was, widening what the service that I could provide, widening that audience base and actually doing it as a formal company. So I think that was like, what I wanted, like to be able to impact more people, at a wider scale and a wider audience, more than I could ever know.
Yeah, and honestly, Michelle, I can hear the passion in your voice, as I'm sure our listeners can. And this is why so many people get into business, isn't it? Because when it's a hobby or when we're working with family and friends or in our small pool of people, we know we can have a bigger impact because we can see there's a bigger problem. Thank you so much for doing what you do. Has
Yes.
there been a moment yet where the business has felt real?
Yes, there have been moments, and in fact, I pray that these moments keep occurring. So I remember, I just like I said, the business really was looking at like a skills gap and why like certain people, especially ethnic minority people, why they're not progressing in the workplace,
Yeah.
why graduates from these backgrounds, why they're being held back. And so the very first thing I would do was like, a talk to people in year 12 and like over 100 or 120 students. And, it was free. But then
Yes.
when I finished when I finished that presentation, the careers advisor wrote to me and said, we would love to have you back when the pandemic is over and this time paid. So like, at that point, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about, I was just like, let me conquer that thing of, being able to, like I said, I wanted an audience and now I'd gotten the audience. So it was, let me speak to this audience. And then all of a sudden, she was actually saying, it was so good. Like, I feel like you need to get paid for this. And that was an aha moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that moment, isn't that just beautiful? And, Michelle, you'll hold that moment for your entire, in 20 years' time, you'll be answering that question. And that
Yes.
careers speech you gave that time will be the moment. And yes, please, let's have more of those moments over the years as well. So, Michelle, because this is about growing a business, and,
Mm-hmm.
I think the work you're doing with careers is so important. So, actually, before I ask my next question, if someone's listening to this and they're feeling like what you're talking about is really something that they want to tap into, what's the best way for people to find you? Your business is Career Invest. What is the best way for people to find your business?
So you can get in touch on via Instagram, so at career_invest, or you could get in touch via my website as well, careerinvest.co.uk. So those are quick and easy ways, and I respond as soon as I get a query.
Okay, so .co.uk and career_invest on Instagram. So Instagram's your favorite place to be.
For now, yes.
For now it is until we're pointing and dancing around somewhere else, doing something else.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about customers and how you find customers, because you talked about it being family and friends to start with. So, and then you said you wanted to go into the institutions and you went to that school. How did you do that? Like, how did you go from family and friends to talking to 120 students at a school? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so I think one of the major issues that I deal with is confidence. So I call it career confidence. And the second one is, helping people articulate their value. So like I said, for family and friends, especially during the pandemic, quite a number of people, were looking to change jobs. They were not happy. The pandemic made people question their choices and, their jobs and the like. And so I was doing this for quite a number of people. And I said, okay, I want to do this as a business, but what am I going to focus on? And I didn't want to do CV writing, because CV writing was something I had done, quite a while back in my career. So I said, I know that I'm actually made for more, and I know that the issues are deeper than just helping someone with their CV. And so I just said, how do I get to work? And I knew that I enjoy speaking. So I knew that training or workshops would be one outlet, but I didn't know how, I didn't know where. And so I signed up on a platform, for where schools and colleges, they ask for people to volunteer. So come and speak to us. Maybe we're having a careers day or a science focus day. And I found, I put in, for a couple of schools, and then this one matched the requirement of what I was looking for. And so it says, come and speak to our students about, developing confidence, especially in a COVID world. And so, I had this platform, to speak to, like I said, 120 students. And that was how that came about. And so afterwards, I went back to the drawing board and I said, that was a secondary school, actually. And it was a good reception. But I said, actually, this problem, because I did some more research and I was finding out things around, graduate outcome gaps, employability in UK universities, and then finding out that this was a real problem, like in terms of diversity, graduates who were from ethnic minorities, who hadn't had family who had gone to the university, the way they approached the job market. So I found out that that was a real problem. So I looked at it and said, you know what, how many universities are here in the UK? I want to work with universities as my initial partners. And that was in December. Remember, I said I had incorporated my company in October.
Yeah.
But this was like my December, I was like, oh my God, the year is coming to an end. I need to. So I literally had I'm kind of more comfortable, doing things in writing. So I had this book where I jot down things, these are the universities I want to work with. These are the days I feel like, these are awareness days, like things I should participate in. And so come January, I started sending out my pitches to universities, telling them what I could offer and, who I had worked with and the kind of packages that would be available to them.
Yeah. That is a really comprehensive business plan for addressing and finding your ideal customers. So, you knew what the current issue was, that in the pandemic people were looking, that you did the research. And although there were areas you could have been working with, you knew that you really wanted to speak, and you wanted to speak to institutions, universities. And then, because that was the clients you really wanted to work with. And I think sometimes when we get into business, that high school market could have been a market for you, and you probably still are very welcome and providing incredible value at a high school level, a secondary school level, but the university is where you really want to do. And then looking for those awareness days and then pitching. What a beautiful step-by-step way you've described the way you got new customers. Really, thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing such great insights.
Yeah,
so financial viability, so when you say you started this business in October last year, it probably didn't take a lot of money, because, the sort of work we're doing is, a good laptop and a good internet connection and, your own skills and your own abilities. But how have you approached this idea of, is this going to be a financially viable business, or are you still in the process of figuring that out?
So I would say it's I'm on the path to figuring that out, but I know that it can be sustainable if I put in the work. So like I said, I started out saying how much kind of thing, so if I'm approaching a university and I say that I want to be paid for this particular service, what should I be looking to? So I reached out to my network, and I did find someone who we sit on the same board of trustees of a charity. And she's worked she had actually been like a student union president. So I said, this is the exact person. So I spoke to her and said, if the student union or something, what do you think would be a good price per hour?
Yes.
And then she gave me like a price range. And then I also had conversations, because like I said, remember I said I'd pitched to universities. So not every single one resulted in a paid deal. Some of them are still conversations that are like ongoing. But you know how you'd say, okay, you know, what is the budget? What do you have available? And based on this, I was able to make, you know, those projections, like, you know, this is what I should be expecting. And, you know, if I want to earn more, perhaps I leave, you know, when I've gotten experience or, you know, gotten that kind of built up the client base with universities, and then I can start looking for private companies or other people who need this expertise. But as for now, if I'm going to, you know, work with these people, then these are the kind of things or the kind of prices that they would be charging. And so I've looked at it and said, okay, for now, would it pay me to have the business just, you know, be running the business alone? Maybe not, because I still have a job, but, you know, I'm growing it such that when I've gotten to a place that it's financially comfortable for me and I've gotten that recognition in that, you know, I'm now no longer the one pitching and people are coming to look for me, then I can raise the prices. And then, because again, I've also looked at competitors, you know, some people are open enough to put, you know, like for a 2-hour session for a company, we charge, you know, 4 figures or 5 figures. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to get there. I just need to position and build that, client base and, you know, the testimonials as well, so that I can position for those bigger companies and opportunities.
And also too, that's such a great answer, Michelle. And I love that you say, I know it can be sustainable if I put in the work. So you're doing this on the side while you're running your day job as well. So when you talk about you know, being able to charge the money that you're worth, having that very considered idea. So you're about career confidence. You know, you're not helping with the CVs. You know, like this is your specific area of expertise, and the more you build that expertise, the more you're then able to ask that price. Isn't that is that how you're feeling? Is that you're heading down that path?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I love that piece of advice that you've given there about asking the question, what is the budget you have available? And that is a really important question to ask, no matter what the business is, or no matter whether it's business to business or business to client, is, you know, how much are they expecting to be able to pay? Because that gives you an idea if they are, you know, a client that is going to be somebody for you. Mm-hmm. So I know it's early days, but this is a reflective question, and, you know, we don't have a magic wand, but if we did, and I know everything's a lesson, but is there something you might have done differently back in October 2020 that you're doing, you know, that you could share with us?
So I think I would say, really, I do like the fact that, you know, I did take the courage to start, but maybe again, it would have been, you know, like I'd have actually started sooner if I knew that there was this part of me that existed, you know, this part of me that could create something that, you know, people want to engage with, this part of me that can look at a problem and then offer a solution. So for me, I'd say, you know, like, don't doubt yourself and look at those strengths that you think you have and utilize it to the full, because, you know, you just wonder, like, what was I doing? What have I been doing all of these years, you know? Yeah.
I love that. And I love, Michelle, that you say, you know, that if you'd known there was this part of you that could be doing this, you know, what have I been doing all these years? So many of our guests say, I wish I had started sooner. So people, if you're listening, you know, take it from me in all our episodes, how many people say, and, you know, Michelle's saying the same thing, you know, I wish I'd started sooner. So if you're thinking now, just get started. So if somebody could have told you something, and you still are, gosh, we're not even quite in the first 12 months for you, but if somebody could have told you something, what might have made a difference for you?
And so I think it would be, you know, don't, what's the word I want? Just do it, really. Because I spent a lot of time considering, so, you know, what would this be? You know, how will I position? I want to do this course. But it's like, you know, I kind of say to people that you only learn or get better by doing. So, you know, waiting for that right time, waiting to, you know, do this course waiting to create this product. You just don't start. It keeps you like in a state of limbo. So I would say, just do it. And then from doing it, like I rightly mentioned, you begin to see, okay, this is what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. And this is how I can do it better. So I think it's just, just do it, really. Like that will be the slogan.
And so it really is the slogan, isn't it? Is that the sort of, do you say something similar to your people when you're talking about career confidence as well? Is this the same kind of language you're using for them?
Exactly, because I'm like, it starts with, there's something about your mindset, because you are the only one, like, I think there's this quote I really like put all excuses aside, you're capable. And really, like, because a number of times it's frustrating, like you have an idea and then, that idea seems so great and you by yourself, you dumb down that idea because you're like, nobody would like this. Nobody will want to buy this from me. There are too many people doing this. And then, you kill the idea. And then guess what? Maybe a month, 2, 3, you see someone else on social media who probably doesn't even have, their idea is not as solid as yours was. And then they are making it and you wonder like, but I thought about this, I should have done it. So really, I think, it's about your mindset. And if you commit to doing something, then just do it, because the truth of the matter is like, where I come from in Nigeria, like, growing up, they'd always say, particularly when it came to academics, like, parents, it's a common saying that person doesn't have 2 heads. So you know how like somebody's always coming first or second in the class. They're like, does that person have 2 heads? And so that's really the approach to take, like, because, you see people, and then when you get to listen to people's stories, you actually see that everyone was once vulnerable, but it's that courage to start that matters. And then once you have it and you do it, you'll be surprised at how you will astound your own self. So I think it starts with your mindset.
It really does. And I can just hear in your language how beneficial you are for the clients that you're working with, because, when you say things the way you just said them there about how, everybody, is put your excuses aside because you are capable, even just believing that about yourself is such an important aspect. Thank you so much. So in that, and maybe this is a flow on from what we were just talking about there, it is difficult in business. Like it has been, the pandemic has just caused all kinds of things, but even before that, it was always difficult being in your own small business, or tough, or there were challenges, whatever way you want to talk about that, sort of that aspect of business. And we carry on. Michelle, has there been any days where you sort of think, oh my gosh, this is so tough, or this is difficult? And how do you carry on?
So sometimes, like I tell you, like, I said I incorporated the business in October, but I think it was right about June, I opened this Instagram page, where I'll be posting, and I was growing a network because I was like, I didn't really want to tell people, I'm like, just in case I don't take this further, so I'm like, let me just start. And I started building a network of people, interested in the area and that kind of thing. And then, like I said, I pitched. So as of April or May, I did like, a roll call of the organizations. Sorry, as of April or May, I did a roll call of the organizations that I had pitched to. And they were about 71 organizations I'd pitched to. Yeah. And out of the 71, only 5 people came back. But guess what? All 5 of them were paid. And I'll let you know that, the more like people started answering, like in terms of, we like this is how we want to tailor it. The more I started increasing prices, the more I found programs that were compatible, like, programs that were funded, that were compatible, that could even, afford double what it was I had charged in the previous one. So of course it was disappointing, like, seeing that, sorry, we're not interested, or, people like, there was a particular, so what I do is like, some evenings I just sit down and, research, get all the emails I want, send my pitch letter. And then like, I do like 10. So I just schedule it for the morning time. So it hits their inbox fresh. And then like 2 weeks, I'm like, am I pitching to ghost? Because I don't receive any response. But then sometimes like, like a month later, some of them as much as like 2 months later, like, people come back, and then that's the joy. So I feel like, there's the highs and there's the lows, but you don't let the lows stop you. Because if I'd said, and I'd even gotten some responses that bordered on, should I say, rude, in terms of, oh no, like, can't accommodate this, or like, what you're charging is too much, or like, I think one person said, oh, you want to profit off our students, and I'm wondering, like, you didn't read. So I just, like, the old me or the younger me would have been like, what? But I'm like, you need to keep it professional, so like, you will get people like that, or you'll get people who you just start a conversation and then, in other terms, they will ghost you. But it's just part of it, because one thing I've always said, and like, I speak a lot about mindset and confidence. So one thing I've always said is, like, when you find your own people, like, look for the people who are your people. So when I mean in business, in relationships, in family, and those people who are your own people, you will know them and they will come to you naturally. Because sometimes you find that you're chasing a particular pitch or proposal, like you keep chasing it, you're not getting any headway. And then those who want to do business with you are like, literally the very first, after that, like, with this set of pitches, the very first program I got to get on for university in, I think, March or April, like, she didn't even ask for anything. Like, we had a phone conversation. She didn't even see me. We had a phone conversation. She concluded, I told her my price. She went to get approval, and she's sending me my scheduling and everything, send your bank details and all of that. I never saw her up until the day of, workshop. But some others will be like, oh, we need to meet with 2 levels, 3 levels, and then nothing. So that's one thing I always noticed, that, when you find, when it resonates with the right client, it really doesn't take time. Like, they're ready to do business, they're ready to look at your proposal, but sometimes you just find, like, others who are time wasters. So the truth is, like, there will be highs and there will be lows, but it's remembering why you started. Like, so I know why I'm in this. I know, like, what's the vision, what I have for this company. And so I keep going. There are times when I'm like, a week or two, I don't want to do anything. And that's fine. But then I just, I have to tap myself, because how, like, you can let that slumber, it will go on for like 6 months. And then before you know it, like, I've totally lost track. So it's okay to, it's okay to get, upset or sad or disappointed when, things don't go right, when you're experiencing those, but it's just to remember, like, why you started, and then look for other means. Sometimes, again, you may contact the wrong, like, particularly in large institutions like that, I may find that I'm talking to the wrong departments.
Exactly.
And so when I find the right departments, I get engagement. So I think it's just about that. And then just learning, like, learning from past experiences and improving on it.
Yeah, Michelle, what a terrific answer. Oh my gosh, there's so much in that. But I love what you said about the numbers, like 71 pitches, and it would be very easy to, feel like only 5, but the 5 paid. And as you said, that one who just paid straight away, she just wanted your bank account, or when you found the right person. And, I was, when you were describing the letter, the email that you got back about, oh, you're just trying to profit off our students. That's just one individual. A different individual in that same university may well have responded quite differently to you. So like you said there at the end, it's super important to find the right department, find the right person to speak with. So, I love everything you said there, and that idea of just, like, maybe you do need to take a few days off and then, but, get yourself back going. Otherwise, you would just slumber away for far too long. Yeah, I think I've certainly been a bit guilty of that myself. Not guilty, but, I've sometimes had to take a step aside and just say, have some space to re-energize and come back with that new enthusiasm for what we're doing. Okay, we can't do it all ourselves, but in the early stages, we do kind of do everything ourselves. Are there other people helping you at this stage? Are you, do you have a team? Have you got a coach? Have you got a coach or mentor?
So I wouldn't say I have, like, a specific coach, but I've registered, like, for group coaching programs. I've registered, for business support programs as well for small businesses. So, like, particularly with my marketing and pitching, I did get help with that. So I just had, like, a mentor for like a 3-4 week period where we spoke about, what you are selling to people and being able to clarify your offer. I've also had a coaching program on how to, because particularly those of us who are in business who are providing services, how to monetize those services. So I've had, coaching around that. My background is in communication. So in terms of, like, trying to design, like, post and content. That's not been hard for me. But then sometimes I find that, time is a problem. And so, I've actually even also gotten offers like, from these universities saying, oh, we do have this internship thing if you want,
yes.
students to come help, so I'm actually thinking about it like from, the 1 year mark, like I actually need to organize and say, what exactly is a volunteer going to be helping me with? So I think it's also a strategy that I will always recommend to like, small businesses, look for, either a university or the kind of a lot of these kind of groups of graduates, like people want to have that experience just because in today's world, like you just can't graduate without having done anything. So that's a good way, like, and obviously be fair to the volunteers as well, because if I expect you, like, I wouldn't expect you to give me work, like, worth like what a paid person would do, but just, know where you need help with and where that volunteer can actually come in. So even maybe a month or two, it could be scheduling posts, it could be, graphic design, whatever it is. But it's good to get that help because sometimes it can get overwhelming.
It can, and especially for you, Michelle, running a family and another job, and you're amazing doing everything, honestly. Okay, so I think, oh my gosh, there's so much in this conversation. I think you've been terrific. 3 characteristics that make you successful in your business. What would you say are your 3 characteristics?
So I'd say one is resilience, resilience. The second one I think is, vision. So, being able to envision where I want to go. And then I think finally, it's just staying ahead of the game. So research, like, having a research mentality, because particularly when it's a field you're trying to break into, you need to understand, you need to know, what are competitors, who are your competitors, who can you collaborate with, what else is new out there, how can you spread yourself? So it's always like, constantly, like, personally, I'm on LinkedIn looking at, what kind of opportunities, adding people, growing that network. So it's really important. So I'd say the, resilience, being able to research and just generally having that mindset of, embracing challenges, because that's what you will get when trying to build up something.
It's so true. But I love that you talk about the research mentality, because that is a theme that has woven its way through our entire conversation, Michelle, is about your ability to really research the market and see what people are looking for, and to really tap into the value that you can provide based on what the market needs right now in this particular area, and being really clear about that. It's such a valuable lesson that you've shared with us today. Okay, as we wrap this up, and you have told us so many fabulous things, is there anything else that you would like to add, or that I haven't asked you, that you think is important to share with the audience?
So I think for small businesses, I would like to, speak about, like vision and, where you want your business to go. So I remember initially, before incorporating the company, I said that, I told a friend of mine that I want to incorporate this company as a sole proprietor. And she said, why? Why do you want to do that? Because if you incorporate it as a sole proprietor, then you're going to think like a sole proprietor. But if you incorporate it as a limited company, then you begin to see this as a business. And I said to myself, actually, this makes a lot of sense. So if you're starting out, particularly for those of us who have like, side hustles, or, you're not quite sure, like, where's this business going? It's important to envision it. And when you think of the vision, then you're able to act accordingly. Because if you want to play small, then you will stay small. But then if you think about it, that actually, so from my own end, if I use my business as an example, I'd say that eventually I want to be able to design a range of courses and even have like other trainers apart from myself. So I want it to grow larger than myself, because there's a mission behind the business. It's not just about me. And so in doing that, I'm pushed to look, what kind of collaborations, what kind of institutions, what kind of programs should I be running? But then if I just thought about it, like, actually, like, this is something, something small, when I have the time, I do it. I may never even get paid for it, and I may never grow it to that scale that it deserves. So always envision what you want your business to be like, and then begin to take steps accordingly. Because they always say, like, you need to start with the end in mind. If you don't know what your end is, then you find that you're waffling a bit, and then, you're just remaining at a particular level. But it's good because, when you have that vision, you challenge yourself, you're able to actually, see your business grow month on month and then year on year, and then actually surprise yourself. So that's my advice to people, like, starting out a small business. It's really like, have that vision.
I love that. There is just so much in there at the end. So I'm just going to suggest that everybody listening goes back to the beginning and just listen to this whole podcast again, because I certainly am going to. I've been taking some notes, and Michelle, I am so grateful. It is late at night for you. You are, if anyone is looking for career confidence, and if anyone is looking to really tap into that ability to change their mindset, I think, Michelle, you are certainly someone that can help people with that. Thank you so much for what you're doing in the world, and thank you for being a terrific guest on the podcast.
You're welcome, Ingrid, and it was really great. I mean, if I didn't do my research, how would I have met you? So thank you so much. Thank you. It was a really great experience.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
If Michelle hadn't done her research, she wouldn't have found this podcast and she wouldn't have met me. Indeed, she makes a point a number of times through this conversation about how important it is to do the research and be prepared. And she puts it into context as she talks about how research is important to grow her business. So many helpful and practical suggestions from Michelle. When dealing with a business or a corporation or any business, asking that simple question, what is the budget you have available, makes a huge difference in the conversation. She tracks her data, and she told us about making 71 pitches and that only 5 people came back to her and all 5 paid her. So she says, when you truly know who your people are and only look for your own people. Yet another guest telling us I would have started sooner. And I love Michelle's version, which includes, if I'd known that there's a part of me that could create something that people need and want. And I look at the problem and I come up with a solution. What have I been doing all these years? I love that. And I thought it was interesting the way she spoke about the amount of time that we spend considering and thinking about. And she tells us you only learn or get better by doing. And waiting for keeps you in a state of limbo. It's that whole ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, and it's just as she says, just do it. You have to fire. What is your standout from this conversation? I believe that when we pursue business and entrepreneurship based on core values and deepest integrity, and at the same time build a financially successful business, we live richer, fuller lives. As I always ask, what action are you inspired to take today? Till the next time, thanks for listening.